Fantastic. Sally, hi GP. What is meant by an energetic assumption? And can you please give an example of what it is? Sure. An energetic assumption, it's a term I coined because I wanted to draw a distinction between the intellectual assumptions, beliefs, and that sort of thing, and assumptions that are there prior to any kind of discursive reasoning or thinking, and even actually prior then to thought, to not just thought, but to language, right? To even being able to speak. From the time the sperm meets the egg, there's an adaptation going on. There's the natural development of the child in the womb, but there's also a sensitivity to the environment. It's forever responding to the environment. We have this very misguided notion that somehow I can separate myself from the environment in which I'm in, right? And you can't. you can't do it. This is a very weird idea that only exists in humans, that somehow there's like life, the environment, and the world, and then there's me. And there's this universe, and then there's me, as if there was some kind of a separation between the two. When you recognize that the human organism is completely at one with the environment, it is constantly adapting and shaping itself to fit the environment for the express purpose of remaining whole, remaining secure, of surviving, right? And the human being has survived so well because of this incredible adaptability, our capacity to really take the shape of whatever environment we're in. So now, as the child, this is all going on. We're not participating in this at all. It is completely the natural function of the nervous system. Now, for most people, for the vast majority of people, the environment in which the child finds itself from the womb on is relatively consistent. It's relatively the same, right? It may not be great. Matter of fact, it may suck mud, but it will consistently suck mud. And as long as there's a consistency to it, the nervous system adapts to that. And with the consistency, the adaptation becomes automatic. It is not the kind of anything you need to think about. And within that environment, it forms, and I have to call it an energetic assumption about the nature of the environment, because it's not thought about. It is just this very complex set of responses, triggers and responses, that has mapped the environment and now assumes this is what the environment is like. It becomes its map of reality. And as such, it begins to interpret everything that happens using this assumption, this map of reality. And it needs to do this, right? Because there's nothing worse than it's not consistent. If it's not consistent, it's extremely unstable and a little bit nuts, because it doesn't know who to be, right? So anybody who's been raised by a parent or both who have been mentally ill in some way, or narcissistic, or the like, especially if there's an illness where you're not sure who's going to show up in that moment, it's incredibly difficult, because the nervous system never gets to settle in. So you're always going to be in a level of stress. That was my childhood, right? Fortunately, that's rare. For most, there is some consistency. Even mine, there was some consistency. There was I got so I could map what next crazy thing was going to show up. Now, this is all happening without me really aware of it. A long time later, I was aware of it. But this is what gets put into place with an expectation that this is the way it's always going to be. And in fact, a proclivity to want to recreate or maintain that because the adaptation works, right? Which is why there's resistance to progress and change and that sort of thing. Not because it doesn't want to change, but because it knows it's safe here, right? And so it doesn't want that map of the world, of the universe, to change. That's an energetic assumption. And you don't think about it, you feel it. And you see it expressed. It is expressed in thoughts. So any thought you have that says, oh, geez, I don't know how I'm going to, I don't know. How am I going to do that? Any kind of desire for something that's evolving or empowering or the like. And then how do I make that happen? That's the energetic assumption. You don't see these directly. You see the influence they have over thought, feeling, and sensation. And that's how you begin to discern that they're there. This kind of this unspoken feeling that I'm not enough, I'm not valuable, I've got to earn love, I've got to earn respect, I've got to earn my value. It's not inherent. And out of that kind of distortion of reality that an energetic assumption is, grew the concept of God, that I have to earn God's love, right, through one method or another. So it becomes a projection of the energetic assumption. The Christian Judaic God, as well as the Islamic God, are a projection of that. Right? That God doesn't exist. Right? It is a projection that is keeping this in place. Oh, this has got to be in place, right? There's the grand enforcer. Yeah, is it work? Is it work? So you see how it manifests. If there's a feeling of discomfort, that's it. If there's this if a constant trying to fix myself, that's it. Right? Constantly trying to get repaired or improve, even if it takes the shape of trying to become the true self or attain enlightenment. That's what it is. It's just this underlying energy that seems to keep pushing your life in a particular direction. Once you see that, the cure is simply standing back for a bit, taking a step back and watching as it happens. And then eventually watching as it happens, something happens in the environment, you feel an impulse towards a particular response, but you don't make the response. You don't try to shut down the feeling of wanting to make that response, but you don't make the response. Now, admittedly, this is the most uncomfortable place to be. The most uncomfortable place to be. Because everything in you is wanting to react in the way that the programming has been set up to do it, right? Or suppress the feelings, right? But you're not actually acting on it. This is what diffuses it. And you just cultivate that inward path, to know that is all conditioning. It is not who you actually are. But you can't just push it aside. You can't do an end run around it. You have to go directly towards it, right? With a sense that this isn't who I am. This is just conditioning. I don't have to become who I am, but I do have to dismantle everything that is making me feel and act as someone I'm not. And that's kind of the picture in a nutshell of what energetic assumption is, how it affects you, how to notice that it's there. They're very subtle because you don't see them. You don't even know they're there. They're just acting it out. It's an assumption, right? Assumption by its nature is not something you question. You don't even know it's happening. It's just, well, this is the way it is, right? It rarely even gets into conscious thought like that, because if it does, consciousness goes, whoa, hold on, wait. Is this really true? And it can begin to discern and assess. And then the process of dismantling can take place. So does that answer it for you, Sally? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, everybody, GP here. And thank you very much. Since you've watched all the way to the end, I know you're getting a lot out of this message and this whole approach to spirituality and energy healing. So please, if this is meaningful to you and has been helpful to you, please like and share. As they say, press all those buttons down below. And for those of you who are able and really want to help me help support me in this, I do have my Patreon, my Patreonic place where you can support me in any way that you possibly can. I do all of this myself. I try to keep the cost, try to keep all the stuff here free and without any kind of advertisements or monetization. And in so doing, I do it all myself. The production, the quality, the editing, the audio, the lights, the makeup, of which there is none. I do it all. I do it all myself because I want to keep everything as reasonable as I possibly can. So if you can find it to support me in this work, I deeply appreciate it. But thank you all for watching, and most importantly, thank you for taking the message into your heart and letting it touch you. Until later, namaste.